Alex thought his mysterious roommate was just eccentric, until she said the words that shattered his reality. "I need to leave Earth tonight." Alex stared at his laptop screen, watching his bank balance get smaller each day like sand falling through an hourglass. Being a graduate student in biology was tough enough, but living in the city near the university was eating up every penny he had. His tiny apartment cost more than his monthly stipend, and he was running out of options fast. He had tried everything. Posted ads on every website he could find, asked around campus, even put up flyers in the local coffee shops. But finding a decent roommate seemed impossible. Most people wanted someone they already knew, or they had crazy demands that made no sense. Then one evening, while scrolling through rental websites for the 100th time, he found something strange. A simple ad that read, "Quiet tenant seeks shared living space. Can pay 6 months up front. Minimal interaction preferred. Some dietary restrictions. No name, no photo, just a phone number." Alex hesitated. The ad was weird, sure, but 6 months up front? That would solve all his money problems in one go. He could focus on his research instead of worrying about rent every month. Before he could talk himself out of it, he sent a text message. The reply came back within minutes. "Available to meet tomorrow evening. 7 p.m. coffee shop on 5th Street. The next day dragged on forever. Alex kept checking the time during his classes, wondering what kind of person would pay that much money up front. Maybe someone in witness protection? A rich kid hiding from their parents? His imagination ran wild with possibilities. At exactly 7 o'clock, Alex walked into the coffee shop and looked around. He had no idea who he was meeting, so he just stood there feeling awkward. Then he heard a soft voice behind him. "Are you Alex?" He turned around and his breath caught in his throat. The woman standing there was absolutely stunning, but in a way that seemed almost too perfect. She had long, dark hair that seemed to shimmer under the cafe lights, and the most unusual violet eyes he had ever seen. She moved with a grace that reminded him of a dancer, every step deliberate and smooth. "Yes, that's me," he managed to say, hoping he didn't sound as nervous as he felt. "I'm Zara," she said, extending a pale hand for him to shake. Her grip was firm but cool, like she had been holding ice cubes. "Thank you for meeting me." They sat down at a corner table and Alex tried not to stare. There was something almost otherworldly about her features. Her skin looked flawless like porcelain, and she had these sharp cheekbones that belonged in a fashion magazine. But it was her eyes that really caught his attention. They seemed to change color slightly depending on how the light hit them. "So," Alex said, trying to act normal, "you mentioned you could pay 6 months up front?" Zara nodded and reached into her purse. Alex expected her to pull out a checkbook, or maybe mention a bank transfer. Instead, she placed a neat stack of cash on the table between them. Real, actual money. More cash than Alex had seen in his entire life. "I prefer to handle things directly," she explained, noticing his shocked expression. "I hope that's not a problem?" "No, no problem at all," Alex said quickly. His mind was racing. Who carried around that much cash? "But I should probably tell you about the apartment first." "It's not very big and the second bedroom is pretty small." "Space is not an issue for me," Zara said. "I have specific requirements, however." Alex pulled out a notebook ready to write down whatever demands she might have. Probably something about cleaning schedules or noise levels. "I need complete privacy during certain times of the month," she began. "I follow a very strict schedule based on lunar cycles. During these periods, I cannot be disturbed for any reason." That was odd, but Alex nodded. Maybe she had some kind of medical condition or religious practice. "I also have specific dietary needs," she continued. "I require certain minerals and fruits that I order specially. They're delivered monthly. The delivery service is unusual, but they're very discreet." "Okay," Alex said, still writing. "Anything else?" Zara looked directly into his eyes, and for a moment Alex felt like she was reading his thoughts. "The most important requirement is absolute secrecy about my presence. You cannot tell anyone that I live there. No friends, no family, no one." Alex paused his writing. "That's a pretty big request. Can I ask why?" "I value my privacy greatly," she said simply. "I'm involved in research that requires complete confidentiality. Think of it as a witness protection situation, if that helps." Alex looked at the money on the table, then back at Zara's serious face. His rational mind was screaming that this whole situation was crazy. Normal people didn't carry stacks of cash or demand total secrecy, but his empty bank account was screaming even louder. All right, he said finally. But I have some questions too. What kind of research do you do? I study human behavior, she replied. Specifically, how people form connections and relationships. It's quite fascinating, actually. That made sense given Alex's own field of study. Maybe she was some kind of anthropologist or psychologist. Are you a student too? You could say that. Zara smiled. And Alex noticed her teeth were perfectly straight and unusually white. I'm here to learn. They spent the next hour going over practical details. Zara would take the smaller bedroom. She didn't mind that the apartment only had one bathroom. She preferred to do her own cleaning and wouldn't touch Alex's food if he didn't touch hers. She was quiet by nature and wouldn't have parties or overnight guests. As they talked, Alex found himself relaxing. Despite the strange circumstances, Zara was easy to talk to. She asked intelligent questions about his research, nodding thoughtfully when he explained his work on genetic variations in different species. She seemed genuinely interested in his studies, which was more than he could say for most people. When would you like to move in? Alex asked as they prepared to leave. Tonight, if possible, Zara said. I don't have many possessions. Alex blinked in surprise. Tonight? Don't you need time to pack or give notice somewhere else? My current living situation is temporary, she said vaguely. I can be ready within the hour. 2 hours later, Alex was helping Zara carry her belongings into the apartment. She hadn't been kidding about not having many possessions. Everything she owned fit into 3 small suitcases and a few mysterious boxes that she insisted on handling herself. What's in these? Alex asked, trying to help with one of the heavier boxes. Research materials, she said quickly, taking the box from his hands with surprising strength. Very fragile. I prefer to handle them myself. As Zara settled into her room, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that his life had just taken a very strange turn. His new roommate was beautiful, mysterious, and apparently loaded with cash. She claimed to study human behavior but acted like she had never encountered humans before, asking odd questions about everyday things like how the microwave worked or why people watched television. That first week living together was surprisingly pleasant. Zara was exactly as advertised, quiet, clean, and respectful of his space. She spent most of her time in her room or sitting by the window, watching the world outside with intense curiosity. When they did talk, usually in the kitchen while making their very different meals, she was fascinating company. She knew things about science and philosophy that amazed Alex. She could discuss quantum physics like she had written the textbook, then switch to talking about ancient history like she had lived through it. Her perspective on things was unlike anyone he had ever met. But there were definitely odd things about her. She never seemed to sleep. Alex would get up for water in the middle of the night and see light under her door, hearing her moving around quietly. Her skin had this subtle glow to it, especially when moonlight came through the windows. And those deliveries she had mentioned, they came at weird hours from unmarked trucks, and the delivery people never spoke, just handed over packages and left. Alex tried not to think about it too much. Zara paid her rent, respected the house rules, and was actually great company when she wanted to be. Whatever secrets she was hiding, they weren't hurting anyone. 3 weeks into their living arrangement, Alex realized he was actually enjoying having her around. She helped him think through problems with his research, offering insights that no one else had ever considered. She was teaching him things about biology that weren't in any textbook. And despite her mysterious nature, she seemed genuinely interested in his life and work. Everything was going perfectly. Too perfectly, as it turned out. One evening, while Alex was studying in the living room, Zara came out of her room looking more agitated than he had ever seen her. Her usually perfect composure was cracked, and there was something almost frantic in her movements. I need to leave, she announced suddenly. Tonight, Alex looked up from his books, confused. Leave, like go out somewhere? No, she said, running her hands through her hair. Leave Earth, I need to go home immediately. Alex stared at her, sure he had misheard. Did you say leave Earth? Zara froze, realizing what she had just said. For a long moment, they just looked at each other across the small living room. Then she slowly sat down on the couch across from him, her hands shaking slightly. I suppose it's time I told you the truth, she said quietly. I'm not exactly what I seem to be. Alex sat there staring at Zara, his mind trying to process what she had just said. Leave Earth? That was impossible. People didn't just leave Earth. They took planes to other countries, not spaceships to other planets. I think I misunderstood, he said slowly. When you say leave Earth, you mean like travel somewhere far away, right? Zara looked at him with those unusual violet eyes, and for the first time since he'd known her, she looked truly vulnerable. She took a deep breath and shook her head. No, Alex, I mean exactly what I said. I need to leave this planet and return to my home world. The words hung in the air between them like a challenge to everything Alex thought he knew about reality. He opened his mouth to laugh, to make a joke, to do anything that would make this conversation normal again. But something in Zara's expression stopped him. You're serious, he said finally. Completely serious. She stood up and began pacing around the small living room. I shouldn't have told you like this. I had a plan for how to handle this situation, but everything is happening too fast. Alex watched her pace, noticing things he had somehow missed before. The way she moved was too fluid, too graceful for a normal person. Her skin seemed to catch the light differently than it should. And those eyes, they were definitely changing color as her emotions shifted. Okay, he said, his voice surprisingly calm. Let's say I believe you. Let's say you're actually from another planet. Why are you here? Zara stopped pacing and looked at him with surprise. You're not screaming or running away. Should I be? Most humans would, she said quietly. That's exactly why I wasn't supposed to tell you. She sat back down, but this time she chose the chair closer to him. My people sent me here to study your species. We've been watching Earth for a long time, but we needed someone to actually live among humans to understand how you form relationships and connections. Alex felt like he was in a dream. This was the kind of conversation that happened in movies, not in his tiny apartment with his mysterious roommate. What kind of people are you? We call ourselves the Vorthak, Zara explained. We're much older than your civilization, and our technology is far more advanced. But there's something we never developed that humans have mastered. What's that? Emotional bonds, she said simply. We understand logic, science, mathematics. But the way humans connect with each other, the way you care about people you're not related to, the way you sacrifice for others, it's completely foreign to us. Alex tried to wrap his head around this. An advanced alien civilization that couldn't figure out friendship? So you came here to learn about human emotions? Exactly. I was supposed to observe from a distance, take notes, report back to my people. Living with you as a roommate was perfect for that. She paused and looked down at her hands. But then something unexpected happened. What? I started to experience these emotions myself, she said softly. For the first time in my life, I understood what friendship felt like, what it meant to care about someone else's well-being, what it was like to enjoy someone's company not because they were useful, but because they made me happy. Alex felt a strange warmth in his chest. Despite everything bizarre about this situation, he realized he had been feeling the same way. So what's the emergency? Why do you need to leave right now? Zara's expression became worried again. Because something is happening to me that shouldn't be possible. Every 7 years, my people go through a biological cycle called the resonance. It's when our bodies and minds become extremely sensitive to the energy around us. Like a medical condition? Not exactly, she said, choosing her words carefully. During the resonance, we absorb emotions and physical sensations from nearby living beings. It's supposed to happen in controlled environments on our home world, with specially trained attendants and protective barriers. Alex was starting to understand why she looked so scared. But you're stuck here with me instead. The solar storm started 3 days ago, she explained. They've disrupted all space travel in this region. The ship that was supposed to take me home can't get through. I'm trapped here during the most vulnerable time in my entire life cycle. What happens if you go through this resonance thing on Earth? Zara hesitated before answering. I don't know. No Vorthak has ever been through resonance around humans before. The energy exchange could be dangerous for both of us. I might accidentally influence your emotions and thoughts, or absorb so much human energy that it damages my mind. Alex looked at her, really looked at her, and noticed the subtle changes that had been happening over the past few days. Her skin did have that luminescent quality he had noticed before. Her eyes were definitely brighter, more intense. Even her hair seemed to shimmer with its own light. It's already starting, isn't it? He asked. She nodded reluctantly. Small changes so far, but it will get much stronger over the next few weeks. By the time the solar storms clear and ships can travel again, I'll be at the peak of the cycle. What can I do to help? The question seemed to surprise her. Help? Alex, I just told you I'm an alien who might accidentally mess with your mind. Most humans would be calling the government or running away screaming. Alex thought about that for a moment. It was true. This was probably the most insane situation any human had ever found themselves in. But looking at Zara, seeing the fear and vulnerability in her unusual eyes, he realized something important. "You're my friend," he said simply. "I don't care what planet you're from. You're scared and you need help, so I'm going to help you." For a moment, Zara just stared at him. Then, to his amazement, tears started forming in her eyes. "This is what I was supposed to study," she whispered. "This feeling, this willingness to help someone even when it might cost you something. I never understood it before." "Well, now you get to experience it firsthand," Alex said with a small smile. "So what do we need to do to get through this safely?" Zara wiped her eyes and seemed to pull herself together. "I need to contact my people and let them know what's happening. They might be able to send guidance or equipment to help manage the situation." She disappeared into her room and came back with a device that looked like a cross between a smartphone and a crystal. It glowed softly as she activated it, and Alex heard sounds that definitely weren't any human language. The conversation went on for several minutes, with Zara's voice becoming more and more agitated. Finally, she switched the device off and looked at Alex with a mixture of fear and determination. "What did they say?" "They're sending a team of scientists to monitor the situation," she said. "But they also made it clear that if the resonance becomes too dangerous, they'll extract me immediately and wipe your memory of everything that happened." Alex felt a chill run down his spine. "They can do that?" "They can and they will if they think it's necessary to protect our species' secret." She moved closer to him on the couch. "Alex, I need you to understand something. The next few weeks are going to be intense. I'm going to change in ways I can't predict, and my presence is going to affect you too." "What kind of effects?" "You might start having vivid dreams. Your emotions could become stronger than usual. You might even begin to sense what I'm feeling or thinking." She looked directly into his eyes. "If it becomes too much, if you want me to leave and take your chances with my people's memory wiping, just tell me." Alex considered this. Everything logical in his mind was telling him to agree, to play it safe, to get as far away from this situation as possible. But looking at Zara, seeing the trust she was placing in him and feeling the genuine connection they had built over the past few weeks, he knew what his answer would be. "I'm staying," he said firmly. "We'll figure this out together." That night, Alex lay in bed staring at the ceiling, trying to process everything that had happened. His roommate was an alien. She was going through some kind of biological cycle that could affect his mind. Government-level cover-up agents might show up to erase his memory. It should have been terrifying. Instead, he found himself feeling oddly excited. For the first time in his life, he was part of something truly extraordinary, and despite all the unknowns and dangers ahead, he realized he trusted Zara completely. As he finally started to drift off to sleep, he could swear he heard soft humming coming from the room next door. It was a melody unlike anything he had ever heard before, beautiful, alien, and somehow comforting. Whatever was coming, they would face it together. The first sign that something was changing happened 3 days later. Alex woke up from the most vivid dream he had ever experienced, but as he sat up in bed, he realized it hadn't been his dream at all. He had dreamed of flying over a world covered in crystal cities that reached toward 3 different colored suns. He had felt the joy of soaring through clouds that sparkled like diamonds, and the peace of floating in oceans that glowed with their own soft light. But the emotions in the dream hadn't felt like his own emotions. They were too pure, too intense, and filled with a longing for something he had never experienced. Alex got out of bed and walked to his door, listening carefully. He could hear movement in Zara's room, but it sounded different than usual. Instead of her normal, graceful steps, there was a restless energy like she was pacing back and forth continuously. He knocked gently on her door.
"Zara, are you okay?"
The movement stopped immediately. "I'm fine," came her voice, but it sounded strained. "Did I disturb your sleep?" "Not exactly," Alex said carefully. "I had some unusual dreams. I think they might have been yours." There was a long pause before the door opened. Zara stood there looking exhausted, but the changes in her appearance were dramatic. Her skin now had a definite glow, like moonlight was shining through it from the inside. Her violet eyes were brighter than ever, almost luminous in the dim hallway light. Even her hair seemed to move on its own, floating slightly as if she were underwater. It's getting stronger, she admitted. I was trying to contain it, but the connection is already forming between us. Alex stared at her, fascinated despite his concern. You look incredible, he said honestly. Zara smiled sadly. I look dangerous. Alex, what you experienced last night was just the beginning. As my resonance intensifies, the barrier between my mind and yours is going to dissolve completely. They spent that morning talking about what this meant. Zara explained that her people normally went through resonance in special chambers that filtered their mental energy. Without those protections, she was broadcasting her thoughts and emotions directly into Alex's mind. The strange thing is, she said as they sat together on the couch, it's working both ways. I'm starting to feel your emotions too. Yesterday, when you were worried about your research project, I felt that anxiety, as if it were my own problem. Alex thought about this. Is that bad? I don't know, she admitted. This has never happened before. My people have studied theoretical scenarios, but no Vorthak has ever formed this kind of bond with another species. Over the next few days, the connection between them grew stronger and more complex. Alex found that he could sense Zara's moods even when they were in different rooms. When she was excited about something she was reading, he would feel a sudden surge of curiosity. When she was missing her homeworld, he would be filled with an inexplicable sadness. But it wasn't just emotions they were sharing. Alex started having flashes of Zara's memories. He saw glimpses of her childhood on a world where the sky was purple, and the trees grew in perfect geometric patterns. He witnessed her training as a cultural observer, learning about dozens of different civilizations across the galaxy. He even experienced her first moments on Earth, feeling her wonder and confusion at human customs that seemed chaotic and illogical to her ordered mind. This is amazing, Alex told her one evening as they prepared dinner together. I'm seeing the universe through completely different eyes. Zara paused in her preparation of what looked like glowing fruit salad. But are you still you, Alex? Are you still thinking your own thoughts? Alex considered this carefully. It was a good question. He was definitely feeling more intense emotions than usual, and his dreams were filled with alien landscapes and experiences. But underneath it all, he still felt like himself. I think so, he said. It's like, imagine you've been seeing the world in black and white your whole life, and suddenly someone gives you glasses that let you see colors. The world is the same, but you're experiencing it in a completely new way. That seemed to reassure Zara somewhat. My people were worried that human minds wouldn't be able to handle Vorthak mental energy. They thought it might damage your psyche or completely override your personality. Well, I'm still here, Alex said with a grin. Still worried about my research, still terrible at cooking, still fascinated by biology. Just with some extra cosmic perspective thrown in. But the changes weren't just mental. Alex noticed that his physical senses were becoming more acute. Colors seemed brighter, sounds were clearer, and he could smell things he had never noticed before. Even more surprisingly, he was starting to see the world the way Zara did. When he looked at people now, he could sense the energy patterns around them. Happy people seemed to glow with warm light, while stressed or angry people had jagged, dark auras. He could tell when someone was lying just by the way their energy field flickered and changed. Is this how you always see the world? He asked Zara one afternoon as they watched people walk by their window. More or less, she said, though it's much more intense during resonance. Right now I can see the emotional connections between every person down there. The couple arguing by the bus stop. The mother worried about her child. The old man feeding pigeons because he's lonely. Their feelings are like bright lights to me. Alex found this new perspective both fascinating and overwhelming. How do you handle all of that emotional input? We're trained to filter it from a young age, Zara explained. But being around you is different. Your emotions are so pure, I suppose. Most beings think about several things at once, but humans focus intensely on one feeling at a time. It makes your emotional energy very clear and strong. This led to an interesting discovery. Alex realized that he could deliberately send thoughts and feelings to Zara, and she could do the same for him. It started accidentally. He was thinking about how grateful he was for her friendship, and she suddenly turned to him with tears in her eyes. I felt that, she whispered. The warmth, the appreciation, it was beautiful. They began experimenting with this mental connection, learning to communicate without words. Alex would think of a memory and Zara would see it in her mind. She would recall a scene from her homeworld, and Alex would experience it as if he had been there. The most surprising thing was how natural it felt. Alex had expected sharing minds with an alien to be strange or uncomfortable. Instead, it felt like the most normal thing in the world, as if this was how communication was always supposed to work. "I understand now why my people sent me here," Zara said one evening as they sat together, not needing to speak aloud to share their thoughts. "Humans don't just form relationships. You form bonds that transcend the barriers between individual consciousness. You become part of each other." Alex smiled, feeling her wonder and amazement as clearly as his own emotions. "Is that what we've become? Part of each other?" "I think so," she replied, both aloud and through their mental link. "I think we're creating something that's never existed before. A true connection between two completely different species." But their peaceful exploration of this new bond was interrupted by an unexpected visitor. Alex was coming home from class one afternoon when he found a tall, pale man in an expensive suit standing outside their apartment building. The man's appearance was similar to Zara's, too perfect, too graceful, with the same otherworldly quality. "You must be Alex," the man said in a voice that sounded like Zara's but deeper.
I am Caney from Zara's people.
"We need to talk." Alex felt a chill of fear, both his own and Zara's, who had sensed the presence of her visitor through their link. "She's not in trouble, is she?" "That remains to be determined," Caney said seriously. "What's happening between you two is unprecedented. My superiors are concerned." When they got upstairs, Zara met them at the door. Alex could feel her anxiety and defiance through their bond. She was scared of what her people might do, but she was also protective of what she and Alex had created together. "The readings we're getting from this location are extraordinary," Caney said, pulling out a device similar to Zara's communication tool. "The energy signatures suggest a complete merging of consciousness between two different species. This shouldn't be possible, but it is happening," Zara said firmly, "and it's not dangerous. Alex is still completely himself and I'm still me. We've just expanded." Caney studied Alex with those intense alien eyes. "Human, are you experiencing any loss of identity? Any confusion about which thoughts are your own?" "No," Alex answered honestly. "I'm more myself than I've ever been. It's just that myself now includes understanding and experiences I never had before." "Fascinating," Caney murmured, making notes on his device. "The Council will want to study this phenomenon extensively. There are many questions that need answers." Alex felt a surge of protectiveness from Zara through their bond. "Study us how?" she demanded. "That will be up to the Council to decide," Caney said diplomatically. "But I will tell them that both subjects appear stable and cooperative. That should buy you some time." After Caney left, Alex and Zara sat together in their living room, both feeling the weight of what was happening. Their quiet, private journey of discovery was now the subject of interest from an advanced alien civilization. "Whatever happens," Alex said, taking Zara's glowing hand in his, "I'm glad this happened." 3 days after Caney's visit, everything changed. Alex was in his morning biology class when he suddenly felt a wave of panic that wasn't his own. The sensation was so strong that he actually gasped out loud, causing several classmates to turn and stare at him. Through their mental link, he could feel Zara's fear and urgency. Something was very wrong. He quickly gathered his things and left class, ignoring his professor's confused questions. As soon as he was outside the building, he tried to connect with Zara more clearly through their bond. The images and emotions that flooded his mind made him break into a run toward home. Ships in space, angry voices speaking in the alien language, a countdown that was rapidly approaching 0. He burst through the apartment door to find Zara standing in the middle of the living room, her alien communication device glowing brightly in her hands. Her appearance had changed dramatically overnight. The luminescence in her skin was now so bright that she seemed to be made of starlight. Her hair moved constantly as if blown by an invisible wind, and her eyes had become pools of swirling violet energy. "They're coming," she said without looking up from the device. "A council ship broke through the solar storms. They'll be here in 6 hours," Alex felt his heart sink. Through their connection, he could sense exactly what this meant to her. "They're going to take you away." "They don't have a choice," Zara said, finally looking at him. "The energy readings from our bond are off every scale they have. They think it's dangerous. To me, to you, to both our species." Alex moved closer to her, feeling the waves of energy radiating from her transformed body. It should have been frightening, but instead it felt like coming home.
What do they think will happen? They believe that a human mind can't handle this level of Vorthak energy without being permanently damaged, she explained.
And they're worried that I'm losing my own identity by connecting so deeply with your thoughts and emotions. But we both know that's not true, Alex said. I've never felt more like myself, and you're still completely you. Zara smiled sadly, and through their link, Alex felt her love for him, pure, deep, and impossible to deny. The realization hit them both at the same moment. What had started as friendship and curiosity had become something much more profound. Alex, she whispered, I need to tell you something. What I'm feeling for you, it's not just the resonance. It's not just the mental connection. I know, he said softly. I feel it too. They stood there looking at each other, both understanding that they had fallen in love across the vast emptiness of space, between two species that had never even known the other existed until recently. It was impossible, illogical, and absolutely real. This changes everything, Zara said. If the Council discovers that we've formed this kind of emotional bond, they'll never let me stay on Earth. They'll consider it a contamination of both our species. Alex felt a surge of determination. Then we don't let them find out. You don't understand, Zara said, her energy pattern shifting with distress. When they arrive, they'll be able to read our bond immediately. The connection between us is so strong now that it's visible to any Vorthak with the right equipment. So what are our options? Zara began pacing again, her glowing form leaving traces of light in the air. I could try to break the bond voluntarily before they arrive. It would be painful for both of us, and there's no guarantee it would work completely. Alex felt a chill of fear at the thought of losing their connection. What else? I could go with them willingly and hope they don't punish you for what's happened. Absolutely not, Alex said firmly. We're not giving up without a fight. Alex, you don't understand what you're up against, Zara said desperately. These aren't humans you can reason with or convince. They have technology that could erase every memory you have of me, or worse. But Alex was already thinking, his mind racing through possibilities. What if we could prove that our bond isn't dangerous? What if we could show them that humans and Vorthak can connect safely? How would we do that? You said I'm the first human to ever go through this, right? That makes me a unique case study. Maybe instead of seeing our bond as a problem, they should see it as an opportunity to learn something new. Zara stopped pacing and looked at him with something like hope. You want to volunteer to be studied by the Council? If it means we don't have to be separated, yes. Through their link, Alex felt Zara's amazement at his willingness to take such a risk. But he also sensed something else, a growing idea forming in her mind. There might be another way, she said slowly, but it would require you to trust me completely, and it could be very dangerous. Tell me. During the peak of resonance, which should happen sometime in the next few hours, our mental bond will be at its strongest. If we time it right, we might be able to create a permanent connection that the Council couldn't break even if they wanted to. Alex felt his pulse quicken. What would that mean? It would mean linking our consciousness permanently. We would always be able to sense each other's thoughts and emotions no matter how far apart we are. But Alex, this is completely theoretical. No one has ever attempted anything like this before. What are the risks? Zara hesitated before answering. In the worst-case scenario, we could lose our individual identities completely and become one merged consciousness. Or the process could fail and damage both our minds permanently. Alex thought about this seriously. The rational part of his mind was screaming that this was insane. He was considering permanently altering his brain to maintain a connection with someone he had known for less than 2 months. But looking at Zara, feeling the depth of their bond and the love that had grown between them, he realized that losing her would be worse than any risk they might face together. How do we do it? Are you certain? Zara asked. Alex, this isn't reversible. If we do this, we'll be connected for the rest of our lives. I'm certain, he said without hesitation. But I have one condition. What? If this works, if we create this permanent bond, then we face the Council together as equals. Not as test subjects, but as representatives of what's possible between our species. Through their link, Alex felt Zara's love and gratitude wash over him like warm sunlight. Together, she agreed. They spent the next few hours preparing. Zara explained that the process would require them to lower all their mental barriers simultaneously during the peak energy moment of her resonance. They would need to be in complete harmony, thinking and feeling as one person for several crucial minutes. The timing has to be perfect, she explained as they sat together on the couch, her glowing hands in his. Too early and we won't have enough energy to make the connection permanent. Too late, and the council ship will arrive before we're finished. Alex could feel the energy building around them as Zara's resonance approached its peak. The air itself seemed to vibrate with power, and he could see streams of light connecting them both to everything living in their vicinity. It's starting, Zara said, her voice echoing strangely as if spoken from a great distance. Alex felt the barriers between their minds dissolving completely. Suddenly, he wasn't just sensing Zara's thoughts and emotions, he was experiencing them as if they were his own. At the same time, he felt her consciousness expanding to encompass his memories, his fears, his hopes, and his love for her. For several terrifying moments, Alex couldn't tell where he ended and Zara began. They were one being with two bodies, one consciousness experiencing reality from two perspectives simultaneously. Then, just as he thought they might lose themselves completely, he felt something click into place, like two puzzle pieces fitting together perfectly. Their minds found a new equilibrium. They were still separate individuals, but now they were also permanently connected at the deepest possible level. Did it work? Alex asked aloud, though he could feel Zara's answer through their new bond before she spoke. Yes, she said, wonder and relief flooding through both of them. We're linked permanently now. Nothing can break this connection. They had barely finished embracing when the apartment filled with a bright blue light. 3 figures materialized in their living room, Caney and 2 other Vorthak that Alex had never seen before. By the council's authority, one of them announced, you will both come with us immediately. Alex and Zara stood together, their hands linked, facing the 3 aliens. Through their new permanent bond, Alex could feel Zara's determination matching his own. We'll come willingly, Zara said, but we come as bonded partners and we demand to speak to the full council. The lead Vorthak's eyes widened as he scanned them with a handheld device. Impossible, he breathed. The energy readings show a complete neural fusion. How did you accomplish this? That, Alex said, surprising himself with his calm confidence, is something we'll discuss with your council. We have a proposal that could change the future of both our species. The aliens looked at each other uncertainly. This was clearly not the situation they had been sent to handle. Very well, Caney said finally, but understand that the council will want answers for what you have done. We're ready to give them, Zara replied, squeezing Alex's hand. As the blue light began to surround them again, Alex felt a moment of fear about what they were walking into. But through their bond, he also felt Zara's unwavering love and support giving him the courage to face. Alex's first impression of the Vorthak council ship was that it was like being inside a living crystal. The walls seemed to pulse with their own light, and the floors felt warm and responsive under his feet. Everything curved gracefully without a single sharp edge anywhere. But he didn't have much time to admire the architecture. He and Zara were immediately escorted to what could only be described as a courtroom, though it looked nothing like any human legal setting. 7 tall Vorthak sat in chairs that floated in a perfect circle around the center of the room, where Alex and Zara were directed to stand. Through their new permanent bond, Alex could feel Zara's nervousness mixed with determination. She had never faced the full council before, and even with all her training, this was intimidating. Zara of the Cultural Observation Division, the center council member spoke, her voice carrying an authority that made the air itself seem to vibrate. You were sent to Earth to study human emotional connections from a safe distance. Instead, you have formed an unprecedented bond with a human subject. Explain yourself. Alex felt Zara straighten beside him. Honored council members, what began as academic observation evolved into something none of us expected. The human capacity for connection proved to be far deeper and more complex than our previous studies indicated. And you felt this justified contaminating yourself with alien mental energy? Another council member asked, scanning them both with a device similar to what Caney had used. Contamination is the wrong word. Alex spoke up, surprising himself with his boldness. What happened between us was an exchange, a voluntary sharing of consciousness that benefited both of us. The council members looked at him with expressions ranging from curiosity to alarm. The human speaks, one of them noted. This is highly irregular. Everything about this situation is irregular, the lead council member said, which is precisely why we must handle it carefully. Human, do you understand that the mental fusion you have undergone could have permanently damaged your consciousness? Yes, Alex replied. But it didn't. I'm still completely myself, just with a broader understanding of the universe and a permanent connection to someone I care about deeply. Care about, another council member repeated. Elaborate on this concept. Alex felt Zara's encouragement through their bond. This was the moment they had discussed during their preparation. Everything depended on whether they could help the council understand what they had discovered. What we've learned, Alex began, is that consciousness isn't limited by species barriers. When beings connect on a deep enough level, they can share experiences and understanding without losing their individual identity. The readings from your bond are unprecedented, the scanning council member announced. Their neural patterns show complete integration while maintaining separate cognitive functions. This should be theoretically impossible. Perhaps, Zara said, our theories about consciousness need to be updated. The lead council member leaned forward in her floating chair. You realize that what you have done could be seen as a violation of our most sacred laws? The prohibition against mixing Vorthak consciousness with alien minds exists for good reasons. Those laws were written when we thought such mixing was dangerous, Zara replied. Alex and I are living proof that it can be done safely. One successful case does not prove safety, another council member argued. It could be a statistical anomaly. Then let us prove it isn't, Alex said suddenly, an idea forming in his mind. Let us be your research subjects. Study us, test us, learn everything you can about how our bond works. The council members exchanged glances, communicating in rapid bursts of their musical language. Through his bond with Zara, Alex could understand fragments of their conversation. They were debating whether to proceed with the memory wipe they had originally planned, or to take advantage of this unprecedented opportunity to study interspecies consciousness sharing. What exactly are you proposing? The lead council member asked finally. Alex took a deep breath. A formal research partnership. We'll submit to whatever non-harmful tests you want to run, share all our experiences and observations, and help you understand how human-Vorthak mental bonding works. In exchange for what? Recognition of our bond as legitimate, Zara said, and permission to continue our relationship while serving as ambassadors between our species. The scanning council member was still studying their readings with fascination. The stability of their neural integration is remarkable. If this could be replicated safely, it could revolutionize our understanding of consciousness itself. It could also be incredibly dangerous if it goes wrong, another member cautioned. All important discoveries involve some risk, Alex pointed out. The question is whether the potential benefits outweigh those risks. The council deliberated for what felt like hours. Though through their bond, Alex and Zara supported each other through the anxious wait. Finally, the lead council member spoke again. We have reached a decision. You will be granted a provisional research status. For the next Earth year, you will undergo regular testing and evaluation while continuing your bond. If you remain stable and provide valuable data about interspecies consciousness sharing, we will consider recognizing your relationship officially. Alex felt a surge of relief and hope flow through both himself and Zara. It wasn't everything they had hoped for, but it was a chance. However, the council member continued, there are conditions. You will both relocate to a joint research facility where human and Vorthak scientists can study your bond safely. You will submit to regular mental scans and evaluations, and you will help us develop protocols for potential future interspecies consciousness sharing. We accept, Zara said immediately. There's more, the lead council member said. If this research proves successful, you will become the first official ambassadors in a new program designed to improve relations between our species. Earth's governments will be contacted and informed about our presence here. Alex's eyes widened. You're going to reveal yourselves to humanity? Gradually and carefully, the council member confirmed. Your world is approaching technological levels that will make contact inevitable within the next few decades. Better to begin that process in a controlled manner. Over the following months, Alex and Zara found themselves at the center of the most important scientific research project in the history of both their species. The joint facility where they lived was amazing, a place where human and Vorthak scientists worked side by side, sharing knowledge and perspectives that neither could have achieved alone. The tests they underwent were fascinating rather than invasive. Scientists from both species studied how their bond functioned, how their shared consciousness operated, and what benefits it provided to both of them. Alex found that his mental connection with Zara had enhanced his cognitive abilities in unexpected ways, while Zara discovered that experiencing human emotions had given her insights into consciousness that no Vorthak had ever achieved. But the most important discovery was that their bond could indeed be replicated safely. Under carefully controlled conditions, other volunteers from both species successfully formed similar connections. Each bond was unique, but all of them demonstrated that consciousness sharing between humans and Vorthak was not only possible, but beneficial for both participants. A year later, Alex and Zara stood together in what had once been just his small apartment, but which was now officially recognized as the first human Vorthak cultural exchange center. They were hosting a dinner party for an incredible mix of guests, human scientists who had volunteered for consciousness bonding research, Vorthak researchers who had learned to appreciate human food, and several other interspecies couples who had formed during the research program. "Can you believe how much has changed?" Alex asked Zara as they watched their friends, both human and alien, laughing together around their dinner table. "A year ago, I was just an observer sent to study human relationships from a distance," Zara replied through both their spoken conversation and their mental link. "Now I'm living in one of the most important relationships in galactic history." Alex smiled, feeling her love and amazement as clearly as his own emotions. "The council officially approved our bond yesterday, didn't they?" "They did more than that," Zara said, pulling an official-looking document from her pocket. "They've offered us permanent positions as directors of the new Interspecies Relations Department." Alex took the document, scanning the formal language that essentially offered them the chance to shape the future of human-alien relations. "This means we'd be responsible for managing first contact protocols when they reveal themselves to Earth's governments." "It means we get to help our species learn from each other," Zara corrected. "Humans have so much to teach us about emotional connections and relationships, and we have technologies and perspectives that could help humanity solve many of their problems." Through their bond, Alex felt Zara's vision of the future: cities where humans and Vorthak lived and worked together, schools where children from both species learned from each other, and relationships like theirs becoming normal rather than extraordinary. "There's something else," Zara said, her excitement bubbling through their connection. "The research team thinks they've found ways to extend consciousness bonding to